regarding that, and I guess that takes us into airline news, correct?
You are exactly right, and I will start us off just to keep the flow going nicely. So the first thing is this probably should have went with route news too, so I'm sorry, but Emirates is resuming service to Bali with the 777 after a 2-year absence. So once again, another big absence due to the pandemic. Was really excited to see them coming in at long last. So this will be on Emirates flight 398, which is very exciting. It's going to be really nice. So I'm excited to see the new route finally come back. Really, really good. Of course, it's been quite some time. So I don't know too much about this route. AS will probably know a little bit more than I will, but it's very exciting to see it. And I think it's going to be really nice to see this new route, or excuse me, not new route, but the route finally resume after a long extended absence.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Bali's a really big, you know, I guess you could say tourist destination in Southeast Asia, just like Phuket in Thailand. Bali, Indonesia is a really big spot for tourism and stuff like that. So it's good to see Emirates going back with the 777-300ER. I have the model right here, so I thought it'd be perfect to bust it out there. So yeah, the new service has already started to Bali, and that's great. And I assume it'll remain on the 777 as it always has been. So great news. Summer travel is, especially for this summer, is going to be insane. I mean, we're seeing it in the U.S. A lot of demand and stuff. Ticket prices are going up, unfortunately, but the industry is returning, and that's great. And it's good to see that the rest of the world seems to be opening up as well, especially Southeast Asia, Indonesia, that region, Singapore, Malaysia, um, areas that were pretty rough, pretty badly hit by the pandemic. It's good to see them also kind of recovering. Unfortunately, Hong Kong up there in the Far East is one of those. Yeah, one of the Hong Kong and Japan actually both are still kind of dealing with the struggles with the pandemic. So hopefully they can pull out some, get out of that, the struggles that they're facing soon. But it's good that most of the world is coming back, and we saw that here with Emirates. The next news that we have is still in the Southeast Asian region. It's involving Sri Lankan Airlines. They have some fleet modernization stuff going on here. Uh, fleet, a really common theme with fleets in Southeast Asia, among the South Asian airlines. Um, when I say that, I mean I want to focus specifically on the Indian subcontinent. So you have India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. These airlines, they love to lease planes because mainly it's obviously a lot cheaper than simply buying one. Uh, but Sri Lankan Airlines, they unfortunately have some airplanes in their fleet currently, which are losing, whose leases have expired, and so they need some new airplanes coming into their fleet. And I think it's about time because I've heard a lot of, you know, reviews regarding some of their planes, like their A330s, especially the A330-200s, which are like 20 something years old. I don't think those are leased, but um, a bunch of their fleet I heard is kind of aging, and replacing some of those planes would be really good. Um, so I can't exactly remember how many planes, but I think let me just briefly refer to the article. 12 replacement aircraft by 2025. So Simple Flying's article says that Sri Lankan is hoping to replace about 12 planes in their fleet with leased ones. So I would hope that maybe they'll look into getting some A350s or A330neos. I doubt they'll look into the 787 because their fleet is all Airbus, if I'm not wrong. It's A320s and A321s and
Yes.
A330s. So them sticking with Airbus is probably the most likely way it's going to go. So I think it's about time because, like I said, some of their A330s are over 20 years old, and they could definitely use some replacing, even though they're not. Some of those aren't even leased, but I think it's about time. Their A330-300s, though, I think those are much nicer than the 200s. But then again, they are also showing signs of aging and stuff like that. So I hope they can pull it up because Sri Lanka, as a country, recently has been going through a lot of economic struggles. So Sri Lanka modernizing their fleet is a really good thing to hear, and it's definitely something the airlines should look into because they are a really good airline. I've heard great things about them. It's just the hard product in some airplanes needs some work, and I think they can improve that with getting these new leased airplanes. So what are your thoughts about that RRA?
Yeah, I cannot agree more. I mean, it's really exciting to see the progression going here. And again, it's a very interesting sector. It's a very unique one with all these leases and everything. So it's kind of hard to keep up with it. But I think these 12 aircraft will be of huge benefit to their fleet. And I'll be really excited to see how they decide to implement it in the full details once we get there. So that is very, very exciting. What is not so exciting is somehow Ryanair left 14 passengers behind after a bus mishap. So a 7 hours training of these guys ended up happening after pretty much what happened was I guess they were getting transported by bus. Of course, it's a common thing in Europe to have buses transporting from the terminal. And I guess that they unfortunately had to leave a few passengers because one of the buses wasn't ready. And somehow the flight ended up departing without them. So the fact that that happens is incredible. So I guess there was some sort of QR code issue, which is very unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know if you could do like a second verification to make sure that this doesn't happen, but it appears to be this also wasn't the first time this happened, as it's happened several other times to Ryanair as well. So Ryanair's not only bad at landings, they're also bad, it appears to be, at leaving passengers at stranded instead of getting on their flight. So at least they got a few vouchers and everything, but still, it's a head scratcher to me. So definitely very interesting, and I'll be eager to hear your thoughts. AS.
So yeah, as you just said, if any airline was to leave its passengers behind, it would most definitely be Ryanair. That sounds like a really Ryanair thing. Um, I don't know what else to say. That's really bizarre, and I'm glad that the passengers got some compensation, as you said. But knowing that it is Ryanair probably didn't help much at all. But hey, if that's what you get for paying 10 euros for a flight, you can't really
No.
complain much. I mean, the 10-euro flight is unheard of here in the U.S. For the most part. So um, that's interesting. Another thing that's interesting is Latam Airlines, which is basically LAN and LAN and TAM Airlines when they merged a while back. Um, Big superpower in South America in that area. Um, they are going to be using drones to inspect their aircraft fuselages. And this is going to be, they're going to try this out at their maintenance or MRO facility in Brazil in Sao Carlos. That's really cool, really innovative way to conduct aircraft inspections. I'm eager to see how this will compare to simply to humans, to regular traditional inspections. Definitely innovative way to fly the drone around the aircraft and fly it up close and to inspect the fuselage. I think a big drawback to this is you have to train the people to operate the drones so the drone doesn't crash into the plane and cause even more damage. So that's one hurdle that could be in the way, one hurdle that could be added as a result of employing drones in aircraft fuselage inspections. But it's really innovative. They're the first airline to, I think, do this. I don't think any other airline has tried to use drones to inspect their planes. So it's really cool. And like I said, I'm eager to see how this will impact the aircraft maintenance world, and if other airlines will also use this tactic in the future. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a great idea as well. I definitely think that maybe they should have a second, like, make sure that everything's done properly, because obviously with technology, you never know, something could slip up. So maybe a human inspection, just a real quick like overview or big picture look, maybe would be good. But I still think it's a very good idea, and I think it will be very efficient in helping, and I think it can be of huge benefit if done properly. Another very interesting topic for airline news is they put a new American Airlines CEO, Robert Islam, in the spotlight. And man, it's unfortunate to see this, in my opinion, because I feel like they're jumping a little too far into conclusions, because obviously we know what Doug Parker did to American. It's probably not even worth talking about at this point. It's been a broken record with how many times he's been criticized, but I guess rightfully so with all the issues he's had. But it seems like they're already jumping on top of Islam, despite only being with the airline. So yeah, nevertheless, it's very interesting to see what's going on here with Islam and American, but I'll be eager to see how they progress for sure. It's going to be very interesting and definitely something to note. AS, would you have to agree with that?
For sure. As you said, with Doug Parker, when he was in control of American, he had a lot of controversial moves that are still in place today. And Robert Isom, when he took over, I don't think he has any plan on reversing those. Um, but he has a lot to. I don't want to say he has a lot to make up for because he's probably not going to change anything that Doug Parker did. Um, but he has a big position to hold of, obviously, as CEO. I think it is kind of unfortunate that he has been taking so much criticism already. He's only been in the position for not even a month, maybe. He fairly recently he's been elected in that position. Um, so it is unfortunate that he's already taking all that negative energy. But hopefully he can make something good out of it and maybe improve American in some way. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I hope he doesn't jump to conclusions already. That's probably the best way to put it. Um, Moving on from that, Qantas has made a $614 million offer to buy fellow Australian carrier Alliance Airlines, which is pretty interesting because Alliance is not owned at all by Qantas. It's one of the only airlines in Australia, one of the few remaining airlines in Australia um, that Qantas has no part in. Virgin Australia is Virgin Australia even owned by Qantas? I feel like they have some sort of connection to Qantas, but
I think it's a co-share or something.
okay,
But yes.
yeah. But Alliance though they have had no connection with Qantas until now. So them making that huge offer, multi-$100 million, $600 some million offer to buy Alliance, signals that Qantas doesn't want to take any chances. I mean, Alliance has been growing because they recently added a bunch of E190s to their fleet, and they have been growing, especially in the rural Australian market. So Qantas, I guess, they want to buy into that. They want to grow their network as well, and they also don't want to lose out on any important market share. It seems like so. It's good to see them making that move to buy Alliance, and I'm eager to see how it plays out. What are your thoughts on this?
Likewise, I'm really eager to see what's going to happen. Yeah, there's a little bit of fleet commonality there and everything. It just seems like their markets overlap and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So I definitely think that it would be not a horrible choice. I mean, the consolidation would kind of stink, but it would definitely be something to consider. And I think it would be pretty good, all things considered. So not bad there. Another thing that's really, really cool is the 250,000th veteran participant in the American Airlines Honor Flight Program took place, which is super cool. So if you guys don't know, since 2005, American Airlines has been taking members of the U.S. military on this on honor flights, which has been really cool. They've been doing this for almost 20 years at this point, which is very cool. I think 17, 18, somewhere in there. And they've been doing different flights around the United States to honor these guys. They go all across the United States, lots of Washington, D.C. stuff. And in this example, where the milestone happened was from Phoenix to Baltimore, which is really cool. So very cool to see this. It's been really, really nice to see our veterans honored by American Airlines. And I think this is definitely one of the most unique parts of aviation in various aspects. And I'm going to be eager to hear what AS has to say about that.
Yeah, definitely. And no better airline to honor our veterans than American, obviously. They have, of course, the new livery, the flagship Valor on the 321 they recently rolled out. And yeah, it's amazing. They've already carried 250,000 veterans through the honor flights. And it's not just American that have done honor flights, I don't think. I think Sun Country's done a few, and I can't remember any others, but I know for a fact that I think Sun Country might have done a few, and then American is really big with the honor flights, obviously. So a huge milestone, and I think it coincides really well because they recently just unveiled flagship Valor. So perfect. Moving on from that, Qatar Airways recently launched a new code share agreement with Virgin Australia, and that means that they now have code shares with both major Australian airlines. They, of course, have always been a partner with Qantas because Qantas is also in the One World Alliance, and now they just recently partnered up with Virgin Australia, which is really interesting. I mean, I never thought they'd partner up with them because that's kind of unlikely, but they just partnered up with them, and with this new agreement, Qatar Airways passengers get access to 35 Virgin Australia destinations, and on the flip side, Virgin Australia passengers can access more than 140 Qatar Airways destinations worldwide. Them being the big international carrier that they are. So it's great news. What else comes out of this, I don't really know, because Virgin Australia, unfortunately, they did cut back their network quite a bit. I don't even think they have any more long haul flights because all their 777s or something they don't fly anymore. So all they have now is just 737s, and I don't even think they have the A330s anymore either. Um, but good news, Qatar Airways expanding their reach. That's always a good thing. What more can I say about that?
Completely agreed. I'm really excited to see what's going to go down there. I think it's really, really nice to see the co-share going down. I think it's going to be really nice to see hopefully some really good coincide action there and hopefully some frequent flyer bases merging very, very well. One topic that we've talked about several times and we're going to continue to talk about is the Spirit Airlines Frontier Airlines proposal merger. They're going to be having a big event on that on June 10th to see what the next steps are going to be, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes down. So obviously there's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to go right for this to happen. Of course, the Department of Judges is going to have to be a big part in making it happen. Of course, the JetBlue offer got declined, so hopefully the Frontier deal, there's two ways to look at it for sure, as we talked about, but I'm going to be very eager to see what happened. Both airlines reported losses in Q1 of 2022 for JetBlue, or sorry, Spirit and Frontier. Spirit at $194 million and Frontier at $121 million. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I hope to see good go down no matter what, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens going into a potential merger. Would you have to agree with that, AS?
Yeah, so Spirit and Frontier, really an unlikely combination when I first heard about the two airlines planning to merge. Um, it kind of sucks. I really don't want to see one of them go because it is nice to it was nice to have both Spirit and Frontier, um, but it is crazy that it looks like that this proposal might be going through, and like you said, it all depends on the DOJ approving it. Um, but if it really comes into fruition, it'll be crazy to see two big, ultra low cost players in the U.S. combined to form one big airline. Um, and if Spirit does end up taking over Frontier, it'll be definitely something to behold. One of the really big aviation historical moments of not only just the year, but in recent history. It's going to be a huge, huge takeover and a huge topic as a whole. And moving more into low cost, or talking more about low cost airlines, one of the more popular ones, obviously Southwest, is going to be spending $2 billion to upgrade its passenger experience. Really, it's nothing much. I mean, all they're doing is, actually, this, considering it is Southwest, I guess it is pretty big, but they will be adding in-seat power outlets across their entire fleet, and that's going to set them back $2 billion, which is quite a lot. But for an airline like Southwest, who already have so much love, no pun, I mean, that love, that's cool.
Yes.
For an airline like them, who have so much positive reviews, and just everybody loves Southwest. I mean, who doesn't love Southwest? To have all that positive stuff going for them, this will just make the passenger experience a lot better. They already have in-flight Wi-Fi, free in-flight entertainment. They have obviously free drinks, snack service, and some really, really good, comfortable seats. And it's really good that they're finally adding power outlets and power ports into their seats. One might ask, why didn't they do this earlier? But at least they're doing it now, which is good. And what more can I say about that?
I completely agree, and I'm really excited to see Southwest innovating. They're really making the customer experience really good, and it's just so impressive for such a unique business model to see how far they're innovating, and I'm so excited to see where they're going to come. I mean, that's crazy. Just one type of aircraft to make such a universal market and going to so many cities across the United States. It is super, super cool. Really excited for what Southwest future holds. Sorry about that, guys. Let's give battery number 3 a try. Nevertheless, very exciting to see Aer Lingus resuming nonstop flights to Los Angeles. It was suspended due to the pandemic. Can't believe that it took so long to come back, but it's really exciting to finally see it come back. I can't believe it's been so long because they resumed San Francisco February 25th and the various routes last year. So really wondering why it took so long, but it's finally back, which is really exciting. Seattle will also be coming back on July 7th, which will be really nice. And it's really cool to see that they're going to be making a full playlist for the flight, so you can listen to a full playlist during the flight to honor the return. So really excited to see that return. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. AS, any thoughts on that?
So yeah, LAX to Dublin. Finally, it's back. It's great to see it back. And really, nothing else to say. It's good that, like we've mentioned earlier in this episode, travel is coming back. International travel, especially. We saw with Emirates going to Bali and WestJet going to Rome. More and more people are returning to international flying, and it definitely is in play here with Aer Lingus coming back to Los Angeles. Great news, and all the best for Aer Lingus for their new service to LAX, not new service, but resumed service to LAX. Um, Next topic that we have here is the Indian low-cost giant, Indigo. Interestingly enough, they are launching a code-share agreement with Air France KLM Group, which is really interesting because they don't really have much overlap, Indigo and the Air France KLM Group. The only overlap that I can really think of is those airlines like Air France and KLM on their flights into Indian cities like Delhi and Mumbai. Um, they can have some connections going on with Indigo flights to other cities within India. So it's cool because with this code share agreement, you can basically buy tickets on Air France or KLM flights through Indigo's website, and likewise, you can buy tickets on Indigo through Air France or KLM. So, like I mentioned earlier, I think the best way that this agreement is going to work out is that if you want to fly to a smaller Indian city like Chennai, for example, or even smaller, let's say, I don't know, what's a smaller city in India, like not even a small city, like a different city that these airlines don't fly to, like on West Coast, that's not even West Coast, but in the east of India, like Calcutta or Kolkata. Air France, KLM don't even fly there. So if you want to fly Indigo from Delhi or something to that city, or to Chennai or Kochi or something like that, you can book that ticket through KLM, fly KLM from Amsterdam to Mumbai, and then Indigo connect from Mumbai to Kochi or something else, some other Indian city. It's midnight, so I can't remember any other cities, but it's good. Indigo's a monster. They have a huge. They are India's biggest airline, and it's cool that they're expanding their reach all the way to Europe. I think they were actually planning flights to Europe with their A321neos. I don't know if that ever materialized or if that's ever going to start, but it's cool. It's cool news. So, Red River, what do you have to say about that?
Yes, of course. Really excited to see this going down. I think it's going to be really, really cool. Yes, the code share is going to be really nice, and it's going to be an easy way for them to connect on. I think all these partnership agreements are going to be really beneficial for all the airlines involved. I'm really excited to see where it's going to progress going forward. Alrighty, everybody. So that will do for our airline news. And